I am here with Abigail Simon, who is a professional dancer, actress, model, and teacher, practicing professionally and internationally for over 13 years. If you're interested in learning from Abigail, she teaches in New York City and Chicago at a variety of studios. For more info, check out abigailsimononline.com, and we'll have that in the show notes as well.
Great.
So, Abigail, thank you so much for meeting with me today on
Pleasure.
this wonderful rainy day in Chicago. We're just going to go through and have a fun little chat and share some cool info with everyone on the internets.
Sounds like a plan.
So cool. So why don't you start off with telling us how you got into dance?
Okay. Well, my parents are both in the arts. My mother was trained by Jenny Terrell at Juilliard,
Mm-hmm.
and my father has been acting pretty much his whole life. Went to Yale Drama School and then started an acting studio in New York City, and has directed all over the world. So basically, the world of the arts really came naturally to me, and I was living in LA at the time and saw dance on television and just wanted so badly to do it and wouldn't stop begging my parents to put me into it. My father, I think he wanted me to be an actress, but dance was my passion. And now it's interesting because I've gotten more into it. But so at 3 years old, they put me in dance classes, and I've been dancing ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. At 3 years old, you knew that you were obsessed with dance?
Yeah.
Do you remember who you saw that inspired you?
It was Maya Plasitskaya doing The Dying Swan. That was that's my first memory. Yeah, what I saw. It was on live on TV. So
And you were just hooked.
Yep. My mom says I was in front of the TV just trying to imitate her.
Wow.
So.
That's beautiful. And your parents saw that and encouraged you and
Yeah. I have amazing parents. They were able to see my passion really early on.
Mm-hmm.
And they always, never a moment in my life did they try to turn me in a different direction. They encouraged me to continue to do my passion. They never said, oh, maybe you should try something else. They really were. Even when things got rough, they said, keep going. And I'm forever grateful to have that.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I love to hear when parents are super supportive of what you're most passionate about.
Yeah.
So that's great. So how have you kept strong during the tough times that we all go through? How have you stayed focused and committed?
It's interesting. I've been thinking about this a lot because it's definitely been an up and down 2 years. I left Joffrey and I've been on my own. And it's really just about, I don't want to say building a hard shell. It's kind of just understanding that you're learning from everything instead of letting it become something that is that takes you down. It's just every step, whether it's going forward or back, is a lesson. And if you think of it that way, you're always going to keep moving forward. Always.
Nice.
So I think that's really what has made me who I am now, is that I learn from everything I do, and I take from it and I make it into a positive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be my main. I don't know. I'm trying to think of other things, but
no, that sounds great.
Yeah.
It's you're saying that there's no failure. There's learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like failure.
The more you fail, the more you learn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I think that's a universal philosophy that
absolutely
everyone benefits from.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, what's been your favorite performance?
So far, I did Carousel at the Lyric Opera House, and it was the highlight of my career so far.
Yeah.
It was not only was I dancing, but I was acting, and at the end I got to sing, and I was working with a partner that I just adored working with. He was amazing to work with, and the whole entire cast, including the director, like everybody, I don't know, just had this amazing energy, and it was just a positive experience. And so when I got that, even though there were things that, talk about learning, I fractured my rib in the beginning of the show, things like that, but I learned from that. So even though there were some setbacks, when I got out there on the stage, it was just like the most incredible feeling. I hadn't really felt that yet in my career. Yeah, so I would say that was the highlight.
Yeah. Wow, fractured your ribs. What happened?
So I didn't warm up properly one morning. I was rushing from an appointment, and I showed up into rehearsal not knowing that I was going to be doing intense partnering. And I went for it with my partner, and as he flipped me onto my back, something went clunk, and I immediately knew, something wasn't right, but, the dancer in me wants to continue, so I went through the motions, and finally I just couldn't do it anymore. I literally, just walked away and had to walk out of the room. I was in so much pain.
Oh my gosh.
And I ended up in the ER, and the doctor told me I probably wasn't going to be able to perform. And if you tell me I'm not going to be able to do something, I will do it. So
Amen.
I did everything I could to get better and get on the stage, because I had this feeling that this was going to be an amazing experience. So there was no way I was gonna lose the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So I went into physical therapy every day with Julie O'Connell, who's amazing, and got up earlier than I usually do, and did extra exercises and extra massage and just whatever it took. Changed my diet. Really, if you want to do something, you can do it. It's like the body and the mind are amazing. The mind is amazing.
In unison, they're unstoppable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I love when someone says you can't do something, and I don't think there's anything more motivating in life. Oh, really? I can't do that? Cool, I'm totally going to do that now.
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. So what has been your most challenging performance?
Most challenging? Oh, that's hard. I think for me, something challenging would be contemporary. It's, not what I grew up learning. I trained at the School of American Ballet, which is Balanchine. But it was easier for me to cross over to classical, so anything, along the lines of ballet, but something like modern, what have I done that's, stuff at Joffrey. I mean, there were so many things we did. That was very difficult for me. So the process, once you get through the process, that's fine. But the process of learning those pieces was very difficult for me. So those were challenges. I'm trying to think of one in particular for you, but there are so many in, the world of dance. I can't really, I don't know. I'll have to rethink that for you, I guess.
Hey, no, it's a challenging question as well. What is your favorite stage to dance?
Favorite? I really, I've performed in many places. I love the Lyric Opera House over here.
Mm-hmm.
The Metropolitan Opera House is amazing in New York. The interesting part was there was this theater where I performed Romeo and Juliet in Vienna, Austria. And it had this old kind of Roman feel to it, and there were these big marble poles on the stage. There was something about performing there that made me feel like I was going back in time. I think in my mind that might be my favorite place so far to perform. Maybe not my favorite performing. Like I did an amazing pas de deux of Romeo and Juliet there, but it wasn't like the highlight of my career performance-wise, but it was like, I remember that venue being quite amazing to perform at.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's so many, again.
Yeah.
These questions are hard. I don't know. There's outdoor theaters. I love that because you feel like you're like, only the bats are flying around, and like Ravinia or, Chautauqua or, oh, there's so many.
Yeah. That's beautiful. You gave me goosebumps describing that. I want to go hang out on that stage, watch you perform on that stage. Do you prefer Chicago or New York to perform?
To perform, I honestly, I love the energy that New York has and how much people understand the arts there. And, there are diehard fans that go every night to the ballet. The critics, they're hardcore and sometimes they're over the top and they can be not nice, but I guess I like performing here, but I don't feel the same understanding of the arts that they have in New York, So I guess I would prefer New York in that way. But there's a good crowd here too, and there's a good community. But I would say, I miss performing in New York.
Yeah.
I'd like to get back out there.
What about living? Would you rather live in New York or Chicago?
Living, I'd rather live here. It's just a lot more chill. The lifestyle is better. New York is Chicago on steroids. This is what I always say. So, if you can handle that,
yeah,
you're gonna have a lot less space and a lot less time. Here I have, more time to hang out with friends. Have a beer, have a glass of wine, enjoy, social life. But in New York, it's, people are just like, go, go, go. Work, work, work. And I love that, but I need a balance. So that's why, for me, going back and forth has been such an amazing thing this year, to have the opportunity to do that. I mean, I don't know how long that's going to last, but I'd like to keep that going.
Yeah, that's got to be great to get best of both worlds.
Yeah.
The craziness in New York and chillness in Chicago.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
So tell us about your teaching philosophy.
Well, I have an interesting background because I come from a very hardcore Balanchine school, and I was one of the rare kids there from the beginning.
Whoa.
Because really, it's a finishing school. A lot of dancers will come in at the age of 14, 15. I was there from the age of 10, and, I was, a Balanchine trained dancer. And I felt completely like I fit in. It was always like this, I would see classical dance, and I'd be like, oh, that seems like more of a fit for me. Even though I was very good at moving quick and, the style of Balanchine, I always knew in my heart that I was also right for other styles. So when I turned 16, I started studying privately with different teachers. And I really wasn't allowed to do that. But I knew that if I wanted to get a job, I don't know why, but I just, at that age, I was smart enough to know that was something I should do. And so I ended up going to American Ballet Theater, which not very few, I want to say, I can't even count on my hand how many dancers have started from the beginning at School of American Ballet and have gone to American Ballet Theater and Joffrey Ballet. Like very few. So it was my goal to become eclectic. I thought I'd be more valuable. So in my teaching, I don't teach. Yes, I have a foundation, and when I work with young kids, I teach them the basics. But when I start working with kids that are older, I really teach them different styles. I want to introduce them to different styles. I want to open their mind up to the possibility that, hey, you might not dance here. You might dance here. So, and the problem, as much as I love my school, is that where I trained, they only taught one style. And not everyone is going to dance in New York City Ballet. My year, I think, out of my class of 30, 4 kids were selected to dance in the company. So where does everybody else go, And so it was my goal, when I started to see that at a young age that was happening when I'd watch the older kids, I guess that was one of the good things about being at that school at a young age. I learned, I watched. So I guess my philosophy of teaching is teaching my students how to have an open mind and be like a sponge to learning. I want them to learn jazz. I want them to learn modern. I want them classical. I throw Balanchine at them. I throw classical variations at them. I want them to be able to move fast. I want them to be able to be lyrical. I want them to be smart. So my philosophy is teach them as much as you can. Mm-hmm. Everything I learned in my career is what I want to teach them. Mm-hmm. And
so
I try.
Make them more well-rounded.
Exactly. I could have said that in one word. I went on a tangent.
That was way better than one word.
But well-rounded. Yes.
That was great. That sounds very important and valuable and very helpful for up-and-coming dancers and ballerinas.
Oh, yeah.
So that's great that you're sharing a huge aha that you've had in life.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. So what is your secret? How did you achieve such a high level in this field?
How did I achieve a high level? I obviously was born with the right build for dance. Mm-hmm. So that, I never struggled with body. Yes, okay, maybe I wish I had been a little bit taller. But it wasn't, like the struggle. I never struggled with my weight. What's the secret to becoming where I am? I'm a hard worker. I'm a workaholic.
Yeah.
Like, but also I love what I do. That's key. Like, I don't know any other way to be. Like, I don't know if I'd be able to really live if I didn't have this. This is like who I am. And, I think that that's a big part of it, is just like, I enjoy it so much that keeps me going too. It's like every aspect, the ups, the downs, the terrible rehearsals, the bad shows, the good shows. I like the roller coaster. And the craft, and I like learning. I like performing. I love being on stage. There's nothing like learning a role and then getting out there and forgetting about everything and then just becoming something else. I mean, I can't imagine not having that in my life, So I think that's what made me who I am, is just that But it is who I am. it, I can't imagine. Yeah, I got to this level because I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to live without it.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
You're forced to greatness. Through your love and enjoyment of dance.
Yeah, and I want to put 100% into everything I do in this career. So, yeah.
That's great. That's beautiful. So, your love and your obsession and your drive and just unwilling to sacrifice doing this has been your key to success.
Yeah.
So you heard it here. Just be obsessed with what you do.
That's it.
And love it more than anything else.
Pretty much. I mean, it's pretty simple.
That sounds great. I'm gonna try that. So what is your typical work schedule like?
When I was in a company, it was predictable. You knew your schedule. I always started company class at 9:15 in the morning, and I always ended my rehearsal day at 6 o'clock at night. And then, either that week you'd have performances, which would, you'd be out of the theater by 10:30. But now I create my own schedule. I don't know sometimes when I'm going to get a job. I don't know, what time sometimes I'll be done. We're not running on a union schedule. So, I always know that I have training every day in the morning. I usually take a class for an hour and a half or 2 hours at 10 o'clock, starting at 10 a.m. And then depending on what I'm hired to do, I go in and I do it. But I don't have like a typical, I work for myself now. So it's nice because I can, change things around. Maybe, I teach private lessons. So if I'm starting rehearsals for Nutcracker in a couple weeks and my partner is not available till the afternoon, then I get all my students together in the morning and I work with them in the morning and then I work with my partner later. Or he's available, I can change it around. So that is the really nice thing about being a freelance artist, is not running on a schedule, not running with the herd. I work and I make my own life.
Yeah.
Everything is on my time.
So, are you pretty self-disciplined then?
Yeah, definitely. If I know, I have deadlines, of course. I know when I have performance coming up and how many hours I have to put in. But a lot of the time when you're in a professional ballet company, they give you busy work. And that I don't miss. Like, if I know I have a deadline for a performance coming up, I put in the hours of rehearsal I need. But you don't have to stand in the back and learn some, fourth cast of, this flower when you're really never going to perform it. Or, I know exactly what I'm doing and I do it. And I don't have to stand around. I'm always dancing, which is great. I hate standing around. I do not. I mean, I did it. I did years of understudying, and there's a discipline to that too. But no, I just want to dance now.
Yeah. just want to dance.
I want to learn it, and I want to hone in on it, study it 100%, and I want to get out there on the stage, and I want to perform it. But yeah, I mean, there is something about the 10 years that I spent at Joffrey, standing behind people. I learned from watching people too. So, not to say that was a waste of time. But no, at this point, I'm done with that.
No more understudying.
No.
Just studying.
Yeah, I mean, not to say that that's not going to come up again in my career. Who knows? Maybe I'm understudying something on Broadway, or you don't know what life's going to bring. But right now, what I'm really loving is just making my own thing. my own rehearsals, my own performance schedule. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's really been quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
What's been the biggest change since you went independent?
Oh man, I mean, you really have to learn how to. When you're in a company, they take care of everything. My father always jokes about this. He said, when you were in ABT or Joffrey, I would call you up and you'd be on a bus. And I would say, and he would ask me, where are you now? And I would say, I don't really know. We're on a bus to the next city. Like, literally, like, we'd go from one city to the next. And he'd ask my schedule and I wouldn't know. The company takes care of everything. You just kind of go with the. But I have to do all of that myself. I have to book my flights, plan my studio space, make my own contracts. Some theaters I go to, there's nobody backstage helping out. Nobody. At one theater, I was in Texas. They didn't make any calls to tell me when to be on stage, so I almost had a heart attack.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
like running around constantly trying to warm up. You never know what you're gonna get. When you're dancing in a company, you always know you're gonna have the crew, the stage management. You're with the dancers. It's a lot more predictable, but you never know what you're gonna get in freelance. So there's that. There's making sure I get paid. There's
That's important.
I never had to worry about that. I always knew my paycheck was coming in on Friday and I'd be able to pay my bills.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like you really have to pin people down and say, okay, well, when is this going to come in and put in your contract, like, stuff like that. And it's hard. You're juggling. Not only are you juggling being an artist, but you're also juggling all the business side of it, which is good for me. It's a good experience for me. I needed that.
Yeah.
I was in a bubble at the Joffrey and didn't understand the business side, and I think in certain ways I'm now very much way ahead of where I was.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at Joffrey. I mean, I can compose a great business email, whereas before I didn't even know how to
Mm-hmm.
I can do a lot more than what I was doing. So
Talk about well-rounded.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it's very empowering and important to not only know your craft but know how to market and run the business around your craft.
right.
So you really know and understand the value of it.
Totally.
I think that's really important and a great lesson.
I mean, there's a lot of talent out there.
Yeah.
But if you don't know how to take the right steps,
Mm-hmm.
you
You could be selling it for pennies on a dollar.
Right. So in that way, I feel I'm grateful that I'm discovering all these things. That's how I met you. That's how,
Mm-hmm.
I know some incredible dancers. I'm like, if I could just be your agent or something, I could make you famous. They just have no concept or understanding of marketing or business or how to compose an email to get a gala somewhere, or performance or a commercial or close a deal, That's it. That's a valuable tool that I think that I wish they should have classes in school, in ballet school, on how to,
business class.
Yeah, because you don't know where you're going to end up. Here we go again with the teaching students how to be well-rounded. That's why I started my photography workshop, is because promoting yourself, modeling, taking pictures, getting your name out there, being in a catalog, or just posting a picture on social media goes so far. It's funny, when I reached out to some schools, there were a bunch of schools that were like, yes, they loved the idea, they got it. And then there were some schools that I reached out to that were like, oh, this doesn't, they were so closed-minded. They were like, oh, I don't think the parents would approve of this, and this is just, isn't what we're about. And Okay, but you know what? Your students are going to be one day on their own,
Yeah.
trying to get jobs, trying to, get into a company. They're not going to have a portfolio. Like, so it's interesting how archaic the ballet world
Oh,
is.
wow.
I mean, really.
They still think it's like 1850.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that are happening. I mean, you watch TV, there's, all this dance on television and movies, but it's still old fashioned for sure. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, that's great that you've realized that and are taking steps to help anyone who will listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. You're going between worlds.
That's right.
Yes. Do you follow any specific diets to help you stay in peak physical shape?
Well, all right. Definitely before dancing something important, I'm not going to eat a lot of sugar. I do need carbohydrates and protein. Those are like a must, especially the night before a show. But I do find during a rehearsal day that if I eat things like quinoa and rich greens like kale and healthy things, my energy lasts a lot longer. But really, I mean, I eat everything.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't say this, but I do. I love food. I struggle with this. What should I tell dancers? Because to be completely honest, and I feel like that's my job is to be honest. I have a high metabolism and I never had to worry about gaining weight. If anything, I had the opposite problem. Like yesterday, I got back from New York and I felt like I dropped some weight, so I got a cheeseburger. But some dancers don't have everybody has a different body, so it's really just being in touch with your body. But also knowing that you're not going to be like me. Some people are going to be different, and you have to enjoy who you are. If you're bigger boned, then you're bigger boned. You're not going to make your bones smaller by eating less. You gotta be healthy. And so if you're going to not eat to the point where your bones start to break and your energy level is low, no bueno. Not good. Don't do it. So I'd say see a nutritionist if you're struggling, but yeah, always make sure you have fuel. And I guess what I said about the whole there's healthy food that you can eat throughout the day, certain types of food. Did I go off on a weird tangent here?
No, that's perfect.
I don't know. There's just a lot of girls that think that they're going to get parts if they look like sticks. And it's not about that. It's really, it's how you dance.
Yeah.
It's, yes, there's an aesthetic, and yeah, you don't want to be overweight, but the anorexia look, nobody wants to look at that. Yep. It's not.
And I mean, it sounds like the ballet itself is an incredible workout.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you need to eat
oh God.
Michael Phelps.
Yeah, and look at I know people look at certain ballerinas and they're like, oh, she doesn't eat. But I've personally sat and had meals with many dancers who are really skinny and they eat a lot. It's just their build. They were born to do this craft. This is what they were born to do. This is what I was born to do. But I know what to eat. My body craves healthy things naturally. I don't eat sweets. I don't really like cake. I don't really like candy.
Yeah.
I love a salad. I love a steak. I just have a healthy diet, a well-rounded, healthy diet. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, I think we'll do one more question, and then we'll go to see if there are any Twitter questions. What is an unusual fact, love, habit, goal, or ability that people might not know about you?
Well, I sing now.
That's exciting.
um, I didn't think I really had. I mean, I knew my mother always told me that I had her voice, but I never really honed in on it. And now that I've started to work with a voice coach, I'm discovering that I actually have quite a voice, and maybe
Awesome.
you guys will be able to get to hear it. I'm a good actress. I discovered that in the last show that I did. I I got some great reviews in the Tribune for my acting and the Sun Times. And what else? I love to cook. I cook everything. Yeah, I guess that goes with my love of food. I'm trying to think of what else I could tell you. Can you repeat the question again?
What was an unusual fact, love, habit, goal, or ability that people might not know?
Unusual fact. I was talking about this yesterday with someone. I don't know. I had a learning disability when I was young. And it's not up until a couple of years ago that I sort of overcame that. Like, it started in school. I hated school. And it kind of transferred over into company life. I would freak out and I wouldn't be able to learn material. And it took me years to build a confidence and sort of like change my mindset and overcome that. But yeah, I don't know if it was dyslexia or if it was like ADD or what, but I just would freak out and I would have to like spend extra time learning things.
Mm-hmm.
It's gotten so much better.
Well, it sounds like you're a kinesthetic learner. I mean, you're a dancer, so you learn by doing. And, reading, that's a completely different muscle and task. So,
yeah.
If someone like showed you, here's how you do this, you'd be like, oh, you'd pick it up. It sounds
Some
like
things,
you pick up very quickly.
Yeah. Except there are certain, like the audition the other day, we did tap. It was a Broadway audition.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God, that hurt my ego so bad. But yeah, like if I'm not confident in something and well trained in something, it's very difficult for me. You think a dancer could just pick up anything, but it takes me extra time.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's okay. What I'm learning is our world has the way school teaches us there's only one way of learning. There's really not one way of learning. There's so many ways that people process things. And that's kind of another thing that I added to my teaching. Like it's okay if I try to find different ways for each student to pick something up or learn something. I try to watch and I try to study their learning pattern and what helps them. And that's another thing. I share what I went through in that aspect with them, So important. It's okay to find your own way of doing something.
Mm-hmm.
There's not one way.
Yeah.
I mean, my whole life has been unconventional. I mean, I've always done everything my way. And some people like that and some people hate it, but it's worked for me and I'm still dancing and I'm doing what I want to do.
I mean,
so
it's worked for you.
It's worked for me.
Yeah.
But it's probably why I do so well also at being on my own. I'm good at just figuring things out in my own way for myself.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
So, yeah.
Self-directed.
That's right.
All right, cool. And then just to take a few questions. What does this say? Who are your biggest inspirations and influences?
Well, my parents.
Yeah.
I mean, my father I sat in his acting school my entire childhood. Like, I'd finish ballet, and then I'd go to his school and listen to everything he had to say and just everything he's been through. And and my mom, she's so creative, and, from her incredible voice to the writing she does, and, they inspire me. They've devoted their life to this because they're the same as me. They love what they do and the passion, and it's so inspiring. I can't really think of like a dancer or an actor or, because there's so many that I watched growing up that I loved watching. I mean, it comes to mind, I always think of Darcy Kistler. She was one of my favorites to watch on stage. I don't know. But my parents, I would say that they're number one, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
They sound like amazing people.
They are.
You guys have a great relationship. We'll interview them someday.
You should. You should. They're amazing people, yeah.
That's awesome. All right, we'll take one more question. Biggest advice for other dancers?
Other dancers, like, you could be even dancers. Well, we went into this, like, marketing. Keep doing what you're doing. Work hard on your craft. But nobody's going to... The world is going in a certain direction, so if you want to keep moving forward, start to understand the world of marketing, social media, get a website, get a business sense. Even if you're in a company, I know I'm on my own, but there is the dancers Misty Copeland, Sarah Mearns. There's a million that have caught on to that and are doing so well. It's not just their talent. They're smart. They understand where the world is going. So I guess that would be my biggest advice for other dancers.
That's awesome advice.
You're not just a dancer. You are a business person. You have to be many things. You have to wear many hats. And that's not just today. Look at Baryshnikov. Look at all the different things he went into. Movies, Broadway, building his own company. It's building an audience. You build an audience. Nobody else is going to do that. And it's not just going to be like your ability on stage. Yes, that helps. You get good reviews. People see you at the performance. They remember you. But the world of dance is not on the level of film, and, so if you want to get your name out there, and I think it's wise to do so, get into marketing, get a business sense. Definitely.
That's awesome. Well,
yeah.
That's very wise advice, especially in these incredibly digital times.
Oh, yeah. Even though I don't know how to use my phone.
Yeah.
But
hey, you're learning.
But I get it.
You work with people that know how to work your phone.
That's right. So find somebody who knows how to work your phone.
There you go. Awesome. All right, cool. Well, thank you so much, Abigail, for spending time with us and sharing all these wonderful stories and insights.
My pleasure.
Until next time, and good luck with the singing.
Thank you.
It's very exciting.
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
All right. Awesome. How do I stop this? There we go.
Oh, jeez.
Got it.
Oh, jeez.